Hi everyone, this video is to show you the process for a risk assessment. You can start off with a risk assessment in two ways. One is through an interview, or two from a questionnaire that help you understand where the gaps are in the current organization. You can also understand the gaps by going to the finding as well and reviewing each finding. And as you click on each finding, you can create a risk register as risks arise. The other thing that's really important about doing a risk assessment is really understanding the scope of what you're assessing. In this case, I want to talk about the product that I want to assess the risk for. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this test product. And what you want to do is really have a good description of what kind of product this is, and understand the data flow and all the different questions that usually the risk assessor would need to know to understand the current state of the object that it is assessing risk for. Okay. You may want to note the type of information that floats through from an information security perspective, and look at all the controls and kind of see if the controls are in compliant or not, and how many findings are in this have been identified tying to this particular asset. So you will use all of these information to identify your risk register. Okay. Now go into your risk register, which you can create from the asset itself or from the findings. You would create risk statements. An example of that is this particular cyber risk. Maybe it's an incident response risk. And the first thing we want to do is identify the inherent likelihood and impact of the risk. And the inherent likelihood and impact is what is the current risk now, and that has a rating of high. And you would want to understand if you're going to how you would treat the risk. So in this case, I will select reduce, and you would want to identify your notes and how you create this analysis. You would also want to identify mitigating controls to mitigate this risk. And so up here, you would identify each control on its own. So I want to mitigate this by having a good incident response process, and maybe I want to also mitigate it by um, doing making sure that I have a good security analysis team around. So you would just pick all your mitigating controls. Sometimes you may have your existing control may not be sufficient and you need to add a new control. And if a control that you're looking for is not in the existing internal control library for you to select from, you would need to work with the right individuals who has access to create an internal control for you. Okay. Risk management is an ongoing program that really touches across the different organization and shouldn't be done in silos. So once you identify all the mitigating control, as a control owner or a risk owner who is going to be identified here, will be able to go in and assess the residual likelihood and impact to understand the risk rating. Senior management have to understand what the tolerance is for the residual risk. So maybe they don't want to be high, maybe they want to be at low. You can include all of your notes here from a residual risk analysis perspective, risk tolerance, and your residual risk notes. Down here, if this risk applies to any other assets, you want to tag that here. And once you've identified all of your risks during the assessment process, you can create a roll-up risk report. And this is your basically your risk assessment report. You can create a new report that says risk assessment 2017. And I started this evaluation a month ago, and I'm planning to finish it on this date. And this is the person who's going to review my risk assessment. And then you can put your summary here. And you also want to look up all the risks that you've identified and bring that into here. So I can find my risk by the date. So let's just say I am going to select these risks that I've identified and then save it so that I can tag it into my risk report. And as you can see here now, we will have automatically populate your top risks from the risk report.